In an off-season twist that lit NFL Twitter ablaze, the Pittsburgh Steelers made waves by signing veteran quarterback Aaron Rodgers. The move, polarizing from the jump, was destined to stir debate. Rodgers is, after all, a four-time NFL MVP, a future Hall of Famer, and at 41 years old, a lightning rod for controversy. But few took the discourse to as absurd and theatrical a level as disgraced sports commentator Skip Bayless. The former FS1 personality, now cast out of mainstream sports media following a deeply troubling lawsuit, one in which a former colleague accused him of offering $1.5 million in exchange for sexual favors, has retreated to social media where he continues his long-running shtick of over-the-top hot takes. And Rodgers' arrival in Pittsburgh gave him fresh fuel to spew. In a video that quickly made the rounds online, Bayless didn't hold back. With a sneer, he branded Rodgers a diva, claiming he was washed and finished. Then, in classic Skip fashion, he launched a tired pun. Rodgers won't play for the Steelers, he'll steal from them. But the crown jewel of his rant? A flat-out laughable proclamation. Aaron Rodgers makes the Steelers one of the worst, if not the worst, teams in the NFL. Hyperbole? Absolutely. Attention-seeking? Without a doubt. But grounded in reality? Not even close. Let's take a step back. Rodgers is not the same quarterback who once carved up secondaries like a surgeon and delivered jaw-dropping Hail Marys as if he were playing Madden. He's no longer the fire-breathing MVP who led the Packers to a Super Bowl title. The aging gunslinger has clearly lost a step and some arm strength. But washed? Hardly. Despite suffering a devastating Achilles tear just 4 snaps into his debut with the New York Jets in 2023, Rodgers returned in 2024 and suited up for all 17 games. His numbers weren't legendary, but they were respectable. 3,897 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Not exactly MVP caliber, but not the stat line of a quarterback ready to ride off into the sunset either. The real issue? The Jets were a mess. A 5-12 record doesn't reflect solely on Rodgers. It was a symptom of systemic dysfunction, coaching inconsistency, and offensive line woes. That's the context Bayless conveniently ignores while teeing off from his digital soapbox. Now Rodgers heads to Pittsburgh, a franchise known for stability, pride, and toughness. The Steelers are led by Mike Tomlin, a head coach who's never had a losing season in 17 years at the helm. Think about that. Never. That's the kind of structure Rodgers never had in New York. Last season, the Steelers went 10-7 and made the playoffs, relying on a gritty defense and a serviceable offense led by a carousel of quarterbacks. The idea that inserting Rodgers into that environment suddenly makes them the worst team in the league is not just asinine, it's comically irresponsible. But this is Skip Bayless we're talking about, a man whose credibility in the sports world has long been on life support. He's built a career out of trolling, screaming into cameras, and cherry-picking narratives that rile up fan bases. And with his TV career in ruins, his latest Rodgers rant feels like a desperate attempt to stay relevant. Rodgers doesn't need to be the 2011 version of himself. He just needs to be better than what Pittsburgh has rolled out under center in recent years, and that's a very low bar. Even a moderately effective Rodgers elevates this offense into top 15 territory. More importantly, he brings leadership. Whether you love or hate him, Rodgers commands a huddle, reads defenses like a seasoned chess master, and still possesses enough arm talent to keep defensive coordinators up at night. Steelers fans have every reason to be optimistic. Rodgers gives them a shot at relevance in an AFC North division that features Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson. It's an arms race, and Pittsburgh just upgraded. Meanwhile, Skip Bayless remains exactly where he's been for years now, on the sidelines of meaningful conversation. The man who once had a seat at the table of national sports discourse has been reduced to shouting into the void, clinging to his brand of noise over nuance. His take isn't analysis, it's a cry for attention. And just like Rodgers isn't stealing from the Steelers, Bayless isn't offering insight. He's just grasping for the last remnants of relevance in a sports world that's largely moved on. The Steelers may be taking a gamble, but if history is any guide, betting against Mike Tomlin and a motivated Rodgers is far riskier than listening to the rants of a fallen TV troll.